Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, I beat it this weekend. I beat the main campaign. Now, there's more to the game than just the main campaign. Then they have operations, and you can go in co-op with your friends. You can do the campaign in co-op as well. But I have to say, I was blown away. This is the second campaign I've beaten this year, and the other one, which is interesting, is Hellblade 2, which has some similarities in this respect. Both are absolutely cinematic experiences, for sure. But both are about 10 hours long, maybe a little bit under, maybe a little bit over, but right around that 10-hour mark. Both are highly focused and highly curated levels, level design, mission design, and I think that that's what makes, I think that's the future of gaming. I really do. I think that where technology is at with game, first of all, I think that we're seeing a huge shift in gaming, and I think this is going to be part of that shift. I think we're going to see more games like this, like Hellblade. I don't think it's any doubt that two of the most talked about games of the year are Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice 2 and this game, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Both do two things. Number one, they're both incredibly violent. But number two, like I said, very short, very focused, very cinematic gameplay. There is so many times that I'm hitting the record button while playing Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I'm just going to say Space Marine 2 for now on. While I'm playing Space Marine 2, so many times that I hit that record button. I don't do that in other games. I don't do that in sports games that I play. I don't do that in open world games that I play. Not constant, not like I did here. There's a wow factor to curated focused levels, curated focused mission design that you just don't get in large scale open world games. So I want to do something different in today's video. I want to go over my review of Space Marine 2, but also just talk about why I think this is the future of gaming. I think Space Marine 2 represents the future of gaming. We're seeing gameplay here by MK Ice and Fire. I didn't capture gameplay myself, but I mean, I have clips that I captured, but I don't have full gameplay. So go follow MK Ice and Fire over on his channel if you haven't yet. Best no commentary gameplay videos on the internet for sure. First off, Warhammer's gameplay is amazing. It's a brutal mix of melee and gunplay. At first, I really started with the melee, thinking that was the answer. That was when I was playing with my friends, so we had a full squad of 3. And it's a lot easier to go melee with your friends because they're just using guns like crazy. And so you can get away with it. So I started out thinking like, oh, okay, melee is super powerful. But it's actually not as powerful as you think. Your guns are really powerful. And so then when I went and I was playing these missions by myself, I was trying to do the same thing and have the same play style. And it's not the same because the NPCs, your NPC teammates don't operate the same way that your friends do. But the melee is fantastic. It's amazing. It's kind of Doom-esque in that the way that you heal up your character during fights is through executions with your melee. And that keeps... That makes sure that you're always attacking and you're always moving forward there. And it really adds to just this overall chaotic, grungy, gritty, manly, testosterone-filled feel. The other thing that really stands out here in the gameplay is the swarm tech used in the design of this. That's what they're touting it, swarm tech. And what it is basically large-scale battles that are happening on the screen around you. I would say they're more set pieces. I mean, you're definitely seeing a lot of monsters and aliens coming at you, but also in the background and the foreground, they're set pieces. And it's amazing. It's immersive. It's fun. It makes you feel like I am here to make a difference. I am here to stop the horde. I actually think Gear 6 has a lot to live up to now. I think Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 just put the hammer down, just laid down the gauntlet, and Gear 6 needs to be this. Like this should be Gear 6. I'm going to be very interested to see what Gear 6 does here. So that's the gameplay. Again, very highly, you've probably seen clips of the gameplay. It's fantastic. As far as the campaign, there's 6 chapters in the campaign. There's then what's called operations. Operations are what you can do with your friends. I'm going to do them after the campaign because they're side missions that... For instance, in the main campaign, if you're doing one thing, this other group of Marines is doing something else. Well, the operation is that something else that they're doing. So it can give away some of the spoilers, and I wanted to avoid that, so I didn't do that, the operations mode. until after I beat the campaign. Very, very cool. I think the class-based progression is fun. It then has this Destiny feel or Diablo feel where you're trying to level up your character, level up your armor, and you go back and play and replay and stuff like that. I also jumped into multiplayer. Multiplayer PvP is also a ton of fun. Surprisingly fun. I actually did not think I would like multiplayer at all, but it works here really well, particularly with your techs. I very much enjoyed that. So we can see on screen right now, this is the swarm tech that they're talking about. And it's just, look what it does for you. You feel, remember Dynasty Warriors, how you're just fighting so many different people and it makes you feel like a boss. That's what Swarm Tech does here. It's where all these monsters and aliens are coming at you. It feels chaotic. It feels desperate. And it adds a lot to the game. I have to say, that's the standout feature. Hundreds of enemies on screen at any given point that you're just mowing down, that you're trying to survive, is fantastic. The next point that I want to talk about is co-op here, because I had a blast with co-op. This game is built for co-op, and being able to play with your friends and go through and know that it's about a 10-hour campaign that you can go through with your friends pretty fast is a ton of fun. I think it's the best way to play it, honestly. Definitely play it co-op if you're able to. I did about half the missions co-op and then half the missions single player. So both were good, no doubt. Co-op is a ton of fun, though. Co-op is a ton of fun. Last but not least, I do have some criticisms here. My only two criticisms are controls, and the games do this sometimes. They switch up the controls. There's a tried and true control scheme out there that you don't need to redo here. Y is to switch weapons. In this game, Y is your super. And so a lot of times you're trying to switch your weapon. That's down on the D-pad to switch your weapon. But you're accidentally hitting Y because that's what every other game on the planet does. And then you hit your alt, which some of the alts doesn't matter because they replenish faster, but more powerful alts really matter because it takes a long time to get back. So that, and then the only other criticism I had is sometimes the sound went out on me, like the voice acting in some of the different scenes. Occasionally it was muted, not muted, but like you could barely hear it. It wasn't equalized to like the room I was in necessarily. So, but that was few and far between. And it really didn't affect the overall story. I was still able to get it in here and stuff like that. But the controls, I would say the one downside is just go with standard controls, guys. Like standard controls, make right bumper, left bumper the alt. Like hit that for your alt. Y should be to swap your weapons. You know what I mean? That would be the only two criticisms I have there. I do think that this 10 hours is the 10 to 20 hours is the sweet spot in my mind. This is the perfect length game. I think this is the future of gaming. Hellblade is the other game that I've thoroughly enjoyed this year so far. These are my top two games of the year for me, but with NCAA coming in there as well because I'm just having a blast with that. But what do they both have in common? They're the perfect length. I think that gives you this refreshing focus on action and story that it doesn't exist in very long games. Very long games. Anything I'd say over 30 hours is a very long game. And I'm here for this game length. I think it's perfect. I think getting me through the campaign and then let me go back and do the operations afterwards in about 10 hours. And then let me replay the season passes as they drop. Let me level up my armor from there if I so choose. But getting me through that main campaign in about 10 hours is just, it's a pleasure. It's worth the money. This idea that like I need to be playing a game for thousands of hours for it to be worth the $60 that you pay is just not true. This to me is more enjoyable. It makes me more excited for these IPs, for future releases of these games. And I think that's why I enjoy this. It's why I enjoyed Hellblade as well. Similar in that respect. And I think it's the future of gaming. I think we're seeing the shift in gaming, and I think the shift is going to revert back to focused level design, focused missions, focused set pieces like we see here in Space Marine 2. And if you don't believe me, go play this game. I'm telling you, it's mind-blowing. There are times where you're just sitting there watching what's happening in the background like, whoa. And it's a ton of fun. There you go. That's my video for today, everybody. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Let me know what you think. Have you played it yet? What do you think? Do you think that this is the future of gaming? This 10, maybe between 10 and 20 hours, shortening these down, refocusing them is the way to go? Or do you think that we will continue on and become even bigger and more sprawling with video games? I think there will be games that do that for sure. But I think the most successful games, I think we're about to see a future of focus, mission-based action story set pieces that is just unrivaled. I mean, this is one of those games that reminds you why you love gaming. I felt the same way about Hellblade 2. Whereas I think sometimes games can feel a little bit more like a task and work, and you can forget that. Love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We do this all the time right here. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.